This is Becoming Slowly with Beck Mills. This morning I was out walking the dog, regular dog walk, just thinking on things. Quite often I put on a podcast, and I noticed this morning that I didn't take my headphones and I wasn't keen to go back for them. So I noticed that I've been thinking a lot, and particularly this morning, about sitting in that sometimes really weird, odd space between what was and what's next. And what I'm noticing is I'm sort of in this somewhat slower in between season of life. I say slower, but all the usual life stuff is still happening. But it's like I don't know if it's in my brain, in my thoughts, it feels like this almost slowing down, but this sort of tug between what was and what's next. And because I've been noticing it, I've been thinking about it a lot lately, I thought, hey, I want to jump on the podcast and talk about it. Someone else might be feeling the same thing. So yeah, we are settling in our new town. If you listen to the one episode back, the kids are settling into the school routine. We've actually just gone back to school. New routine again, coming back into that. And, we're coming into winter sports and all that fun stuff. So we've got a few more commitments through the week. My work that I've been doing is still the same somewhat. But yeah, I'm feeling this really funny, it's like almost somewhat calm, but then also like really itchy and uncertain, but not like super urgent. And I just wanted to talk about it with you today. I'm definitely still settling in to this new chapter, season of life, I guess you could say, and things somewhat feel quieter than they did at was it now the end of April? Things definitely feel a little quieter, more steady, routine-wise, I guess, than all the emotional upheaval that was at the start of the year with moving. But then there's somewhat this lack of clarity. Things don't feel fully clear yet in terms of what's next. And I realise that's obviously a very somewhat privileged position to be in as well. But I want to talk about naming this strange in-between today. And yeah, if you are, maybe you're here too, maybe things look really fine on the outside, but on the inside you're feeling this really weird in-between, unsettled, uncertain, all these weird things. Sort of like, not urgent, but know that there's change coming, and you're kind of itchy for it to unfold. So some thoughts that keep coming up for me is, should I, the old shoulda, woulda, coulda, those kind of thoughts have been rattling around a bit more in my brain lately. Should I do this next? Should I be focusing on this? What would life have looked like if I did go back to work in my previous career? Like these thoughts are coming up, and I'm sure you've had them as well, especially those of you that are mums and you've got a family, but also maybe you had a big life event and changes, you've moved over, you might have moved interstate, you might have moved to a different town. But yeah, like these kind of thoughts keep coming up, and more so than like, what can I do next? It's more like, what would have happened if, even, I think a lot of it I've noticed is to do with reconnecting with a lot of people lately from my past, which has been absolutely lovely, and I've loved almost getting to know them again, because it's been over 10 years since I was in this town. So that's been really lovely. So new groups that I'm connecting with, especially with sport, and yeah, these thoughts that keep coming up. And I think it's that reconnection with people from that I've known in the past, and sort of finding my way again in this town. With that, there has been, like, I've been noticing these thoughts about identities, identities of mine that no longer sort of fit me anymore, which I'm sure I'm not the only one that's feeling that. And especially with all the things going on in the world at the moment, it's sort of like, I feel like a lot of people are really wanting to get clear on where they are at, what's happening in their life, and what they want for their life. And yeah, these identities that we outgrow, and they don't quite fit anymore. Like, you could almost imagine them fitting, but then you're in a completely different spot to where you were 10 years ago. And just as an example of that, I started reconnecting with a few people that I used to work with here and in my previous career as a health professional. And there was a lot of back and forwards in my thinking about, like, am I going to commit 100% and go fully back? Because it would have to be 100% commitment to going fully back into that, including supervised practice, just because of the time that I've taken away from that career. And absolutely doable, but there was just something that just like, I can almost imagine it, and it's like I did feel like some excitement around that. And not that I think it's going to be too hard, I just think, does it now fit our family? Does it fit the boys and their school and their commitments and all the things that they're discovering now that we've moved, like, got new opportunities? Does it fit with that? Does it fit with my other work that I'm doing? So there's all these things, and I know that the uncertainty around that is a little bit of being a scaredy cat about just it's the uncertainty that's always been the thing for me. And I know that when I make a decision that I will figure everything out, because I've done it that many times before, and it's, you work it out once you've made that decision. And I guess I'm sitting in this in between, in that I can also see other opportunities and imagine myself in them. In terms of work and career, I'm specifically talking about at the moment. And I know that you've possibly felt exactly the same thing. So yeah, like, I can imagine like all these different scenarios, but something is holding me back, and that's what's really like frustrating me at the moment. Yeah, that I've outgrown certain identities, and I'm growing into a new one now for this new chapter of life. And that's a little bit, not unsettling. It's just like, I guess there is some excitement there as well. But yeah, I reckon it's like this itchy feeling. That's the best word that I can come up with. There's also like habits. So like, I'm noticing at the moment with habits, there are some things that used to be very solid that now that we're in this new chapter of life that are growing and changing and evolving, which is not a bad thing. It's about finding our way when lots of changes around us, and it's that settling in period. And it's out, it's moving on. Maybe you're growing into a new identity, and yeah, that might be a topic for another episode in terms of habits. But there's this, like I said, there's this like sort of calm, sort of itchy and uncertain feeling, in between feeling going on at the moment, with there used to be this constant busyness, and it's this feeling of old busyness, and that feeling is different now. Like, I felt like a lot of that old business was almost attached to trying to fit in. Ooh, that's some big stuff going on there with that. And I just realised as I spoke it out loud that was a lot of it. It was a lot about trying to fit in, and maybe it was that I was in my 20s still, early 30s, and maybe now I'm into my older 30s, that's changing. That could be something. But I feel like that doesn't have such a hold on me anymore, which is really cool. Maybe you can let me know if you felt that, and you're like moving to like later 30s towards your 40s, because yes, more of that, please. There is still, the planning the week and making sure all the kids' stuff's in the calendar. There's all of that stuff with the work, obviously, running your household. It's all there, but there's less of an external. I don't know if that makes sense. Less of an external feeling of staying busy for the sake of, I don't know, is it validation? Is it, trying to fit in, like belonging? Not really sure. But anyway, that's what I've been noticing. Also, there's, that not knowing what's next. I want to just unpack that a little bit, because there is discomfort with that. And I've felt that through my whole life, not knowing what's next. And I reckon over the last year, since I stopped doing my full, specific work with my health professional career, I think since then I've explored a lot of things and really opened my mind to different ways of doing things and trying new things. And it was about, it would have been 30. Because, oh no, sorry. Yeah, about 30. And then, so I've tried lots of that, and I've sort of just gone out, tried new things, and then realised, oh, actually this is really cool. Or like, I've learnt a lot by taking those opportunities and not knowing what's next. But this kind of feels different at this point in time. Maybe because we've moved location, like that could be a part of it. I'm just saying, like, it's not a bad feeling. Like, my anxiety is not through the roof or anything like that. But I feel like, and the whole premise of starting this podcast, becoming slowly, I'm really trying to like remember that and lean into that, and not, I guess, not be really down on myself for not having it figured out yet. Oh God. Like, really wanting clarity. But I also know by sitting in it and not rushing it, things will become clearer and clearer. And funnily enough, clarity is my word of the year. I love picking a word of the year, and I would love to hear yours if you have one as well. So it's almost like I was not forecasting this, but like knew that it would be a big part of this year. And I think that's really cool now that I look back on it, because I chose that in I think it was early January, started end of December or something. But I think it's in the not rushing it and in the coming slowly that's different now for me, and it's not easy when you're used to rushing through things to try and avoid feeling things. But I am somewhat resisting an urge to just fill space with all the things. She was having a conversation with my sister a few weeks back about it, and in the past I've kind of, started one thing, tried another thing, and then I want to do all the things and trying to fit it all in somehow, or at the detriment of other things. And she was inviting me along to one of the classes that she does, and I was like, I would love to, and I may still try it, but I also know that I tend to overcommit to things, which is probably another episode that we could talk about, stuff like that. And yeah, so there's this push-pull with me, wanting to fill some space, I guess. And I've just realised as I've said that, it's like I'm trying to avoid feeling those things and feeling that uncertainty and feeling that unsettledness, and, just rushing to add stuff in to, keep busy, essentially. And yeah, so the new era is resisting to the urge to fill all the spaces that don't need to be filled, and just really leaning into sitting sometimes in those thoughts. And so I've said to myself I'm going to do more dog walks without having music or an audiobook or a podcast in my ears. But I do love that. Like, actually, I've been listening to podcasts when I've been cleaning because I love that too. But like, just having some walks with the dog, just without anything, just to let the thoughts flow a bit more naturally. And just this as well, talking to you, this really helps to bring clarity, which is cool. So I think, before I sort of was thinking this in between time, like this weird feeling of in between, like I'm wasting time, like what's the next what's this next thing, what's the next chapter, what's the next identity, like all these things, and thinking that I'm wasting time. I need to grab life by the horns, and like get after it. And I think there's absolutely a time for that. But also now seeing that there's a time for this in-betweenish stuff, and that it's not wasted time. What I'm saying to realise and notice is that it's where things are starting to shift quietly, under the surface, not big loud changes. It's like these little shifts in how you approach your day, how you approach getting up in the morning, how I'm approaching when the kids have had a hard day at school, how I'm approaching my runs and my workouts, how I'm approaching, so many different things, recovery, looking after my body, how I'm approaching showing up to new, unfamiliar situations. I think this in-between time, that's what it's all about. It's where things are starting to shift under the surface, and that doesn't need to be rushed. I was listening to, what was it? Was it a podcast? Or maybe I saw a video. Oh gosh, so many things now. I think it might have been a podcast it could have been like Mel Robbins, who knows, something like that I was listening to. And it was about how we don't need to decide everything all at once. And it sounds like duh. No, you don't need to decide everything at once, or you don't need to decide everything just yet. And yeah, on one hand I was like, duh. And then on the other hand I was like, well, actually, that's quite wise. And I probably need to take that a bit more into consideration. That, I've always talked about one baby step at a time, breaking things down, but then obviously not following that in the moment. And it's so true, you don't have to decide everything at once. More information is always going to be presented for us. Trusting, I think, as well, that you're in this in-betweeny kind of weird season for a reason. So yeah, leaning into trust that I don't need to decide. And it's literally just one decision at a time anyway. So maybe you're here too. Maybe you're in this season as well. Maybe things that look great from the outside, or busy from the outside, looks like things are going along swimmingly, everything's planned out, you got all your work sorted, the household sorted, and then maybe on the inside you're feeling this weird itchiness, unsettled, but not urgent, just the feeling that some things are changing, but you're not really sure what you're stepping into next. And if you are in that as well, always open. You can send me a message and we can chat about it. I know that I must not be the only one here. And I'm sure that you felt it at different stages of life too. But yeah, when I restarted out on this podcast again, I really wanted to take those things that I'm noticing, those thoughts that weren't going away, and almost like that, if I was feeling that and it wasn't going away, I knew that there'd be others out there that were feeling that way. So I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, I think at the moment there's no need to solve this as a problem. I don't think there's like a resolution for it. I am sitting in it. I'm in that weird, wacky, middle, in-betweeny kind of season. And I'm still here. And we're all well. And I'm here in it. And I'm in it with you if you're there too. And yeah, that's enough for now. That's it for today. A little reflection, a little noticing. Thank you for being here with me. Until next time, take care.